That's official.
All right, we have some people coming in.
Whoa. Okay, yeah.
Welcome. Welcome. All right. I'll wait until we get quite a few more. Let's see until the numbers kind of slow down. My name is Jonathan Watts.
And I'm Melissa Mack.
And we'll get started here in just a second. We do have translation in Spanish if you need translation.
You'll just need to push on that little world icon at the bottom and choose Spanish, I believe, if you want to hear the Spanish. Okay, I got a nod.
All right, it looks like it is. Oh, it's still going. Welcome again for those that are coming in. I will just keep introducing myself as more and more are showing up. So my name is Jonathan Watts. I'm coordinator at Sunnyvale School District, mainly dealing with instructional technology. So I support the elementary and the middle school sites.
Oh, and I'm Melissa Mack. I am a 4th and 5th grade teacher at Ellis Elementary, and I just happen to do a lot of tech with Mr. Watts.
Yeah. So we'll get started here in just a second. If you do need translation in Spanish, we have that available. Si necesita español, hay un globo para abajo. Si empuja en este globo, puede cambiar al otro canal que donde están hablando español. Hey, all right. Yay, all right.
You translated this yourself.
Not sure I'd take it that far. Okay, we have about 135. Oh, it's still climbing. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to share my screen here. So this is going to be a somewhat of an interactive presentation. So if you have either a different device or even on the same device, if you want to open a new tab and go to joinpd.com and then enter this code. So DXOTT, it's all lowercase. Then you will be able to interact a little bit and we can ask questions and communicate a little bit in a more fun way. So this is also a tool, one of the tools that we'll be going over called Pear Deck, which we recently bought a district license for. So this allows teachers and students to be able to create interactive slide presentations. So instead of just giving you the information tonight, we've embedded just a couple examples where we can ask questions, and while you won't be able to respond orally, you'll be able to either write, you can drag little icons, multiple choice. So there's a lot of different ways to gather information through slides. So this is one of the things that we're doing today, and I can see all of my students here that are coming in. They call them students. You are students tonight. And then once this starts, I'll show you a little bit more. So that's one of the apps that we'll be talking about.
And you won't need to worry about seeing the presentation slides through Pear Deck. You'll still be seeing the presentation as you're going through the deck with us.
Yep, so either way will work out.
Yeah.
So once you do join and put in this code, you'll see, you should be looking at the first slide, SSD Family Technology Education. Okay, some are still joining here. I hesitate starting just because I want to make sure everyone gets it. Although once we do start, there's a little code in the corner. So maybe periodically I'll just mention, if you're just joining us, go to joinpd.com and then enter this code, which will be up in the corner.
6:04. Why don't we just wait till 6:05 and then we can.
All right, perfect. So once again, for anyone that just joined, my name is Jonathan Watts. I work for the district office. I'm a coordinator dealing mainly with instructional technology.
And I am Melissa Mack. I am a 4th and 5th grade teacher over at Ellis Elementary, and I just happen to do a lot of tech with Mr. Watts.
Okay, looks like we have quite a few in there. 105 are participating in our interactive slides. 109, ooh, that jumped fast. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start. And then let me just get up my teacher dashboard onto the side. All right. So once again, if you're just joining, my name is Jonathan Watts. I work for Sunnyvale School District, and I am a coordinator of instructional technology. And with me
is Melissa Mack. I am a 4th and 5th grade teacher over at Ellis Elementary, and I just happen to do a lot of technical stuff with Mr. Watts. And if you're just joining us, you can go to joinpd.com, and up in the upper right-hand corner of this slide, you'll see the code. It's DXOTT, all lowercase. So you can join our interactive presentation tonight.
Okay, so the neat thing about this is as I progress the slides on your screen, you'll see that that'll happen too. Okay, so we're gonna start out with just a check-in. So right away, we're getting started with our interactivity. So if you have this up on your screen, you should see a little green flag that looks like somewhere around here. So if you could just drag that slide over. We're curious to see if you have students that are in elementary or middle school, or if you have them in both. And again, the technology that we're using, so this app is called Pear Deck. This is something that all of our teachers have access to be able to make Google Slides and their presentations a little bit more engaging and interactive. Great, and then let me show you what that looks like on my end. So when I click here, let's see how this works. Okay, what I'm gonna do is slide this over. So on my end, what we see here with Pear Deck, oh, now I'm showing it behind, perfect. Slowly getting there. Okay, so on my end, what I have, this is the teacher view. So Pear Deck allows you to insert both on the fly or in this case, we predetermined what slides we wanted to be interactive. But an example would be if I was doing in maybe primary grades a read aloud and I had a page of a book shown for you, I could insert on the fly if I see on Zoom, maybe I'm teaching a lesson, I see some confused faces, or I see some excitement around something. I might want to ask a question, and this is a really good way to get everyone's voice very quickly. So in this instance, I asked, if your student is in elementary, middle school, or both. So I could have had you all unmute yourselves and shout at the same time what it was, but that wouldn't be a good way to collect the data. I could have had you all type it in the chat, but it would be very hard for me to look and really gauge overall how many are, like where is this congregated, more elementary, more middle school. So this is what I see on my end. So it looks like we are very heavy in elementary. A few middle school parents, and then some that have both.
And in terms of teacher use for that, we would do comprehension checks with the students, and so we would ask students to identify where they're at in their learning. But if you notice, there were no names that were displayed for you guys to see, so that could be an anonymous way for children to feel comfortable sharing whether they understand something or what their opinions were about something, whatever their answers were, so they don't have any kind of fear of being wrong or feeling embarrassed or anything like that. So that teachers can choose to make this anonymous when they're displaying it.
All right. So what we're going to go over tonight are some various tools that we use throughout the district. So I've split this kind of into tools for communication, and then we have tools for supporting your student. So talking about student learning, where most of your, you're going to find the student work. So some of them have a little bit of overlap, but this is the way that I kind of like to think about the main tools that we use. Okay, so first starting with communication. The primary method of communication that we have across the sites, and the one thing that really ties us all together, is School Messenger. So School Messenger works through our platform that we take attendance and also store our student information. So it's called PowerSchool. And School Messenger uses the contact information that we have from you. So your phone number and your email address. And the school sites and also the district can choose to either send you a message using a predetermined text, so they can write something out that will come to you in a text message. They can record or type out, and then I believe a robot reads it, but most of the time they record their own voice, and then that will come to you as an automated phone call. Or they can choose to do an email message, so they can type out the message that they want you to receive, and then it'll go. You don't have to do anything to get connected to School Messenger, which is nice. So as long as we have your contact information, you'll receive messages through School Messenger. So this is why it's really important that you make sure we have your up-to-date phone number, your cell phone number is probably preferable, and your email, and that you regularly check your email. So as long as we have that information, you'll be able to receive messages from School Messenger. Anything you want to add to that one?
I just want to say, make sure it's an up-to-date email. And if your phone number changes, or if your email changes, if any information changes for you throughout the year, to make sure to contact your school's admin, and they can update PowerSchool for you. It's the most important way for the district to be able to communicate to you consistently.
Yeah, and I can't emphasize enough the importance of having an email, checking it regularly, and making sure that the school sites have your email. Especially during these times when a lot of what we are doing is online, and well, pretty much all of what we're doing is online, and you need links and you need to be able to share information. It's just so much easier if you do have an email with us. So reach out to your school site if you don't, or if you don't know, it's just probably be on the safe side and send them that information so that we can get you connected. So email is going to be something that is very important for you to have as a parent, but your students also have emails. So when a student comes into Sunnyvale School District, we create a protected Gmail account through Google. So their email will look a little bit different. Instead of the typical @gmail.com, it'll say @sesd.org. We use that email for a lot of different class products, so the different Google Suites, Google Classroom, and we also use that as a single sign-on into some of our apps. So that will, when you get either devices or material distribution, you should also receive your students' email and their password. And I definitely encourage you to log into your students' email and password. You should know that, and that's something that should be shared between both of you. Because as we're going to talk about in a little bit, that's one of the easiest ways to be able to check your student work, is to really just get into their systems that they're using, their different applications. Okay, so just another quick interactive check-in. Do you have an email address that you regularly check? So grab your you should have a little green dot that you can slide around, and let's just kind of see where we land with this. Again, this is anonymous, so I can't see the individual people, but I'll be able to get a really good check. And I'll show you my screen again, just because I think it's neat. So it looks like a very large portion of you do have an email address that you regularly check, which is fantastic. My follow-up question, which I didn't put in here, would be, do you think that we have your most up-to-date email address?
Yeah, so sometimes the one you sign up for, register your children in for PowerSchool at registration, is not your most up-to-date. Sometimes we might put like a dummy email or like a spam email that we just kind of have because we think that we don't want the recurring messages. But in this case, especially during this time, we definitely need an email that you actually check regularly, that you want to get messages and information from, because that is going to be a main source of communication through the district.
Okay, I also wanted to go over some different translation tools. So many of our families speak different languages, and what's neat about the technology that we have today is that so many of the applications we use have built-in translation features. So Gmail, and this is all available also with the students' accounts. So Gmail has built-in translation. So as you are communicating back and forth with your teacher, it's fine to send emails to your teacher in your home language. they'll be able to translate that on their side, and then vice versa. So as they send you messages, you're also able to translate those into your language. Chrome browser, which we'll go over a little bit, also can translate websites, which is really useful. So just about any website that you visit, you're able to translate, and it has hundreds of different languages on there. And then the Google Translate app, which I don't think we're going to show, but I definitely recommend downloading the Google Translate app, which actually translates text in real time and speech. So if you had a textbook or directions from a teacher or something that was printed out, you can hold your camera either on an iPad or a phone in this app. You just hold it up over and it will start translating for you. It'll change it in real time. So in live, it will translate that into your language. So that's another useful tip. Okay, so I'm going to quickly show a video of the Gmail translation feature. To turn on translation for Gmail, you're going to open up any message, click on the three dots, and go down to Translate Message. This is your input language, and then this is the language that you want the message translated into. Okay, simple enough. All right, same thing. So real quick video, just showing you Google Chrome and how you can translate different websites through Chrome. To translate any page when you're in the Chrome browser, right-click or control-click, and then you should say, yours will probably say translate to English. Once you click that, you'll see this icon appear where you can switch between the different languages you've recently used, or choose another language to translate to. We'll choose Spanish and say translate. All right. Okay, so another little interactive check-in. What is your preferred language to receive communication from the district? So in this example, you should be seeing a little text box where you can type in. So this is a free response example of what Pear Deck has.
And for those of you who joined a little bit late and didn't see how to join our Pear Deck, you can go to joinpd.com, and in the upper right-hand corner of this presentation, you see the code DXOTT, all lowercase, and you can join the Pear Deck and be able to participate interactively as well.
So in this instance, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to highlight. I'm going to show, so I had showed you before, this is my teacher dashboard within Pear Deck where I can see all the anonymous animals as they're coming in with the different languages that these, so kangaroo speaks English. Oh no, other way around. Well, they speak English too. Swan speaks English. So the other neat thing that we can do with Pear Deck is if I just wanted to highlight one of these, I believe that I can click star and then I can show responses. So that just that response will show up. So that's kind of neat. So you have this option of being able to show all of the responses that someone is entering, but you can also just highlight a few and then show that. So this works really well in classroom to be able to maybe have a quick response to something that you're reading or working on, and then highlight those that either maybe had some misconceptions or someone that had a really good example that you wanted to show to the other class. And again, this is a really neat feature that if you're thinking of in a live classroom, we might have students tell each other. A lot of times we have them share to each other. And then as the teacher, you walk around and listen to the various responses. But there's no way to capture that all at once. So the neat thing about Pear Deck is that it captures it all. So I can have in an instant, and I don't have to look at this now. I can always just review this later. And then I would be able to see what every student posted for that.
I see a Japanese, that was great. Like just to see all the different languages that we could be, or translate into. Sorry, losing my words.
All right. Okay, so the first app that we're gonna talk about here is called Class Dojo. So Class Dojo originally started as a behavior management app. but we now use it for just about everything but that. So Class Dojo has worked really well for a lot of elementary sites as a site-wide communication tool. So you can kind of think of Class Dojo as like a protected Facebook-like interface to school learning. So you can have events, different pictures, announcements, you can put attachments in there. And it's an easy way for parents and to get connected to the school if that's one of the apps they're using for their school-wide communication. There's also a texting feature in there. So without giving the personal cell phone, teachers are able to text you through this app. And again, it has translation features. So you can speak in one language and then they'll receive it in whichever language they need it.
Okay, am I showing this now?
Let me check really quick. I'd like to just check in to see how many are familiar with this. I think I had one more interactive.
Okay, cool.
All right, real quick, let's just see you slide over. This one, I believe, is going to be a orange icon, a little orange map icon. So again, if you're just joining us, you can, this is an interactive presentation, so occasionally we're going to stop on slides, check in with the audience. You can go to joinpd.com and then enter that code that's in the top right. And then you'll be part of this and you can slide things over. So did your class or your school use Class Dojo last year? So this is, again, it's an elementary app that a lot of our sites use for communication, connecting students and families. Okay, and it looks like we're pretty good mix. I'll just show you what I'm seeing on my end. So it looks like a good mix, 50-50 of those that were using that last year. Okay, this is a little screenshot, but I'm going to let Melissa take over and she's going to show you a live version so that you can see kind of what this looks like.
All right. So this is the live version of Class Dojo. Right now, this is in Ellis Elementary's school. I'm sorry? Did it not work? No. Oh, I shouldn't be in Seesaw.
I'm looking at Seesaw right now.
Let me do that again. I definitely clicked on this one. Now you see Class Dojo?
There we go.
Okay, there we go. All right, so this is Ellis Elementary's school story page. So again, we talked about how it looks kind of like a Facebook feed. And if I'm scrolling down, then you can see all the different announcements that our principals have made and the different announcements that we've made over the summer just to try to keep in touch with our community. And then I can show you in terms of the class stories. If you were to be a part of Class Dojo with your classroom teacher, they could post pictures of their kids and tell little tidbits about how they're doing in class and things like that. And so I'm scrolling quickly because I shouldn't be showing a whole bunch of kids' faces right now. But and then there's also the messages feature here. And thankfully you can't see here, but they're on the on the right-hand side here. These are all the messages that I'm sending out to families. And you'll see that I'm sending it out to everybody, but when you guys respond, you actually respond to me individually. So nobody else ever sees your responses. That's all a private interaction, and they're all translated for you if you need to have it translated. And for the teacher, I can see who translated a language into what. Like I can see the number of people and the language it was translated into, so I could just better understand the community I'm serving.
Great, thanks. Okay, so this is going to move into supporting your student. We're going to be talking about a few different apps that we use around the district, and that understanding these apps and kind of how they play a role in student learning will help you just keep up to date with what's going on in your student's classroom. So starting with Pear Deck, that's what we have been using for this presentation. So let me just play this really quick overview, although I think you've gotten a good idea of what it is just from this presentation alone. So that's Pear Deck in a nutshell. And then again, we are using that. So if you are just joining us, joinpd.com, and then you can enter that code and that'll make this more interactive. Okay, the next app that we're talking about is Clever. So Clever is something that we adopted a few years ago. We use this district-wide to be able to, it serves a couple different purposes. One is being able to have all of these different applications in one portal. So the applications that we have district licenses for, each one of those applications often has a different website address and then a different username and password for students. So remembering all of these different applications, all the different usernames and passwords can become quite tedious. So what Clever does is it allows us to manage the rostering of that. So when I assign certain products to grade levels, on my end, it makes it really easy. And then when the student logs in, they log into just one place, they log into Clever, and then they have all of those applications there. Another option that Clever allows teachers, something that allows teachers to do is create a custom page within Clever. So in addition to any of the apps that I'm pushing out that we've bought as a district, teachers can also, a lot of times they might use different websites that are resources for their own class, but it's just specific to their own class. So they're able to also put those links all in one spot so that the students can just log into Clever and then have everything they need in one place. Each student is assigned, so we have this syncing with their SESD Gmail account, so their Google Mail account. And Clever provides a badge also. They call it a Clever badge. It's like a QR code. And that also enables them to be able to log into our district Chromebooks. So the Chromebooks are, across the district, we have either iPads or Chromebooks. And with the Chromebook, you have to log on with a Google username and password. But with Clever, they just scan a QR code and then it enters them into the Chromebook and opens up their portal with all of the apps right there. I also just wanted to mention a couple of the apps. So one of the apps that we've pushed out to everyone, and I think we've just introduced maybe last year or the year before, was Sora. So we have I believe it's like a partnership with Overdrive and the Sunnyvale Public Library or the Santa Clara County collection of books. So they have a ton of different library books that they can check out, similar to what you would do just going to the library. But this is all free. It's included in Clever, and this is designed for students. So they'll have age-appropriate books, logging in through Clever, and then clicking on the Sora app. And then we'll get to this at the end, and we'll also post this slideshow and the recording at the end of this on the district website, so you have access. But we do have, let me see if I can move that away for a second so that you can see the bottom of this slide. We do have a Clever website also for parents.
I think if you stop moving your mouse, it goes away.
I think so, but I think, there we go. All right. So if you go to that bit.ly, it's called the shortened URL. So bit.ly/31K7Z04. That'll also bring you to a Clever site that one of our department administrative assistants just created for parents. So we'll have some information, I believe in English and Spanish, about logging on, what the badges do, and some more just basic information about connecting parents and students with Clever.
I also think that's a capital O-Z-O-4. And also the teachers that will be using Clever, they should be providing your students with a badge at the beginning of the year. It's really important for you to not lose that badge. It's going to be used a lot to get into the different apps that the students will need. So if you could, please just keep those in a safe place. The students will be using them rather frequently.
Okay, Google Classroom. So Google Classroom is something that's primarily used in grades 3 through 8, although some second grade classrooms might also use this. So it is it's a learning management system where you can place, the teacher's able to organize all of the assignments. So in upper grades and definitely in middle school, this is like your student portal to find all the information that's assigned to them, different working documents. So this is the place that if you want to see what your student's doing, how many assignments they've turned in, and what work is turned in, this would be one of the first places that you'd want to go and check out. So again, they sign in with their SESD email, and they connect to their teacher using a class code. So there's an individual class code for, if you're in middle school, for each period that they attend, and that connects them. So they go to Google Classroom and they're able to switch between periods and then track all of the work that they're doing in there.
Now, for this particular tool, teachers might turn on or might not turn on their Guardian summaries. However, what's really important is for you to be able to access your students' Google Classroom, because regardless of whether they turn on the Guardian summaries, when teachers assign work, you might know that work is going to be due, but the parent side of this app does not tell you what work has not been completed, as in what's still out there to be done or is still assigned for that student. So in order to see that, you'd need to be able to go into the student view, because as a parent, you're only going to see completed assignments. So it's very important for you to know your children's login so that you can go in and see what kind of assignments are still outstanding for the student to complete.
And then I think we have one quick video on Google Classroom just to give you a glimpse of the overview of what this looks like. Got a much more organized Google Classroom than I did when I was teaching. I didn't have all of those topics and ways to organize that so neatly. It was great.
Yes.
Okay, the next app that we're talking about here is Seesaw. So this is one that gained quite a bit of popularity, especially in the primary grades during the spring of last year. So what Seesaw allows you to do is, in some ways it's similar to Google Classroom. It's a little bit more geared toward the primary grades with big icons that have images and things that are easier for the younger students to follow. But it's definitely able to be used in the upper grades too. This is an elementary only app, so middle school is not using Seesaw. But I've seen it used all the way through 5th grade. So it allows the teacher also to post assignments similar to Google Classroom, but it has some additional tools that allow the students to actually work within the program itself. So one thing that this is great for is blending the physical and digital world. So in, let's say, transitional kindergarten, 1st grade, a lot of the assignments that the students may be doing aren't on the computer. So they might have them creating a map or drawing a poster or creating some, I don't know, some writing or something else. And to be able to turn that in when you're not able to hand your teacher physically a paper can be a little bit challenging. So Seesaw has some tools for you to be able to take a picture and then turn it in, and it creates the student portfolio. So it's really easy on the teacher's end to be able to check all of their work and provide some feedback, and then also communicate with families. Some of the sites, some elementary sites this year are also using Seesaw in a similar manner that we presented on Class Dojo. So they're also using this as a site-wide communication tool. It has a lot of the similar features, so you're able to translate and you're able to send messages to families and class messages to all of those families. Let's see here, and once again, there is a parent view where you can see the portfolios, and you can even comment on some of the student work. So similar to Facebook or something else where you see a post you like, you can comment, you can like. They have that feature in here, so you can give encouragement to your own student as well. But again, I encourage you, if your class is using Seesaw, the best way to check up on the student work and see what they're doing is to actually log into their account. So it's pretty much always a good practice to just know your email password or Clever badge to be able to get into the student account and view work from there. So I'll give one quick intro here, and then I'm going to have Melissa share a live example of Seesaw.
Welcome to Seesaw. Seesaw is a portfolio that your student will use to showcase what they're learning and doing at school and share that with you, their family. They'll add photos, videos, drawings, voice recordings, notes, and much more to their learning journal. And you'll be able to see their amazing work right on your phone or computer whenever they post something new. Students love Seesaw because they're able to show what they know with lots of different tools and share their work with meaningful audiences, all while practicing those super important 21st century skills. Teachers love Seesaw because they're able to gain insights from all of their students, see student growth, and have all that classwork organized in one place. Parents love Seesaw because they can be closer to the classroom without being there every day and really understand how their student is doing. Teachers and parents are always in control of how student information is shared. Once you've connected to your child's account using the special invite code or link from your child's teacher, you can view all of their posted work. You'll only see your own child's work and messages that your teacher sends home. When something new is added, you'll get a notification. You can decide if you want notifications via email, push, or text message. Notifications can come each time something new is added or just once a day. You choose the settings you prefer. Once you follow the Seesaw notification, you can see what's going on in the classroom in real time. Teachers can also turn on options for you to like and comment on your child's work to encourage their learning. Remember, the best comments help us learn something new. Things like, wow, you did a great job because, have you considered? Interesting, this made me think of, I'm proud of you because, are great conversation starters. We're all learning together how to communicate and be our best selves online. You can leave a text comment or even a voice comment. Voice comments are perfect for younger learners. Seesaw takes your and your child's privacy seriously. We understand that you're trusting us to protect your child's information, and we promise to provide a service that keeps students safe. You can learn more on our website at web.seesaw.me/privacy. Your participation in your child's learning journey is the best way you can support them as they grow into a kind, curious, and empowered learner. Okay,
we're going to stop there so that I can have Melissa show you a live example of this.
Alrighty, so let's start with, actually I'm going to do my whole desktop just so I can go between windows. All right, I'll minimize this here. Okay, so this is currently the parent view of a student's work. So as a parent, you'll have access into their homepage in Seesaw. You'll be able to see the home section of their page, and it might show the blog post that the child's trying to show as a showcase for their work, so they can choose to post things on their blog post of assignments that they thought they were extremely proud of. You can also go into their journal to find all their assignments that they've completed. And so if I scroll down, you'll see all the different assignments and the comments of who was commenting on it. And you'll sometimes be able to see conversations between the teacher and the student. And here, of course, there's an opportunity for a video to have been recorded and things like that. And you can also voice record your comments. And then if you're at a site that's going to have the messaging system, the family communication system through Seesaw, then you would also find your information here. Your inbox would have messages here. And so the teacher could communicate here, but you would also get the communication from the schools there. And then in terms of what the children see, now this is, again, this is why it's very, very important for a parent to be able to have the login access as a student. If you see here, this red dot, this red notification here shows the number of activities the student has not completed. Thankfully, the student is actually a very good student. These were optional activities provided by the teacher, especially during the distance learning last spring. So these were like extra art projects and things like that. But you would be able to see the different activities that they did not complete yet, which is something that you don't see from the parent view. You would only be seeing things that they have already completed. So it's important for you to see the activities that they have not completed yet to be able to help them, encourage them, and work with them to make sure that they're making their learning goals. And one of the best things about Seesaw is that there is so much flexibility in the different ways that a child can respond to an assignment. And when they're receiving the activity from teachers, teachers are able to record their voice in directions. So you don't need to worry about a TK, kinder, or first grader who's not really reading yet to be able to read instructions. Likewise, parents shouldn't be sitting right next to them and reading them every instruction for every activity. If those children remember to learn how to just push the play button or the audio button, they're able to hear their own teacher's voice explaining what the directions are. And hopefully that'll be a much more helpful avenue for them to be able to start their assignments.
Awesome, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me share my screen again. Okay, so that was Seesaw. And now we're going to talk really briefly about Flipgrid, and then we'll give you, if you're brave enough, an opportunity to try out Flipgrid. So Flipgrid is a fantastic tool that I believe Microsoft bought a couple of years ago and is now free for education, free for educators. And it allows students in a protected environment to create really short videos. So again, we're talking a lot of, you'll see a theme through a lot of these apps is we want to be able to capture as many student voices in a class as possible. And one of the things that technology allows us to do that we couldn't do otherwise is capture these voices and then look at them later, review, give comments later. So there's a lot of opportunity to be able to have teachers review student work in that way, but also have students talk to each other. So if you've ever been on Zoom where you're meeting with a bunch of people, it's very hard to have class conversations or group conversations. Pretty much only one person can be talking at once. In the classroom, a lot of times we'll have students talking to each other, practicing their oral language, and just as a way to kind of think out their different ideas and thoughts that they're having on whatever concept you're teaching. So through Zoom, replicating that experience can be a little bit tricky. So what Flipgrid allows you to do is capture all the student voices at once, and then the students can also respond to each other through video. So, and there's also a couple neat little features that the kids like you can put little stickers and icons and things and spruce up your video afterwards. But the thing that I like about it is very targeted. In addition to the little, I mean, aside from the little stars and things that you can put on there, its main focus is creating video. And you can also create the length of those videos, limit them to like 30 seconds so that they don't go on and they have to be very concise with the information that they're sharing. So again, this one is either accessed through a direct link that the teacher would create or a QR code that they could scan if they're on an iPad or at home working with that. It's protected so that the only people are going to be able to see it are, and there's a bunch of different settings, one that only those with our email addresses are school domain, or they need to have the link and then nobody else outside of that link can view it. So what we wanted to do.
Hold on, I'm going to say a couple more things. So just to be clear, like teachers are able to moderate the way that students interact with Flipgrid. So if students are sharing something, they can all require approval before other people see it. In this setting, students can also comment and make videos with each other on a specific topic. So if they're in a book club, they could be responding to each other. And this is especially really important because that face-to-face interaction that we're really, really missing during this COVID situation, this app really in particular helps to build those relationships because now we have like almost a sense of, you know, one-to-one presence with each other to be able to share our thoughts and ideas without just it being like a typed out message on a screen. So It is a very, very interesting tool. Kids really, really do enjoy using it, but it's also very, very creative for them. They learn how to do all these great technical tools and they learn how to edit, and they take a lot of time to perfect it, not just like give a quick answer. So I've seen a lot of growth with students in their tech skills and in their speech skills because they want to practice and sound really, really competent when they're presenting. So it's a really great opportunity for them to practice their language, to be able to share their ideas, to be able to relate to other people, and things like that. So very fantastic tool.
Which you will now get to try.
Yes.
Okay. So what we wanted to do to be able to capture questions and comments, because I would like to answer questions or comments that you might have about the applications or our district technology in general. So the plan is we have a couple different ways to be able to capture those questions. And we're going to review these afterwards. And then we are going to give any answers to common questions. We can group them together to make like an FAQ kind of list, and then hand those to site principals so that they can distribute that best to their families. So you'll be able to see the answers.
And I do have to interrupt you, Jonathan. If you could, can you refresh this page? I just added, while you were presenting, the password to the Flipgrid that we didn't put on this.
Yeah.
So if they scan, there is probably going to be a password protection so that you can join with the password. And it should be EdTech 2020 with a capital E for the ed part. And I did add that on. I just realized that we didn't have the password for them to be able to access the Flipgrid.
No problem.
There.
Might not be, since I'm running it through a Pear Deck session.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Well.
Let me see how we can do this. I'll write it up here. What did you say the password was? So you're going to go to, we'll start with the link. This is the Flipgrid site. You know what? I think what's easier is, let's do this. I'm going to switch over to my actual slides.
And just show that one.
Yep. Yep. So you may not see this if you're on the Pear Deck right now because we updated this. I'm going to load it. Okay. So you can either go to this Flipgrid site and then enter this password. If you have your phone, if you have an iPhone, you can just open up the camera and then point it at the screen. Unless you're on the phone, that might be difficult to do both things at once, but point it at that QR code and that'll bring you to the site. And then enter the password EdTech 2020. So that'll give you the opportunity to create a video response.
Yes. And I'm actually putting the password to this in the chat. That actually will work. So that's going out to panelists and attendees.
Great, perfect. And then for those of you that may not want to create a video and put it out there, we also have this link that you can follow at the bottom, which will bring you to a Google form where you can submit your question. And then again, we'll be reviewing both the Flipgrid and this form to be able to look over there and answer those questions. Also, another resource that we recently created that's at the top. So this is a family technology resource page, which we will be adding to. Let me just hop on that really quick. And I'll put that up again so that you can see it. I realized that I just showed you a URL and then changed off of it. So when you come to this launch page, you can see the student and family tech tutorials. And then we have one of our principals created a whole series that has some really good tips for setting up different spaces at home for distance learning. On the tech side of things, as this loads, some of the apps that we talked about today, if you click on each one of the logos for those apps, it'll bring you to a page that we will be slowly adding more to as we see needed. And then you can click, so this is the Clever Parent Resource page, and it'll bring you out to different resources for those apps that we went over today. And then if there is an app additionally on this page, if there's an app or something as distance learning and our virtual school gets started, if there's an app or something else that you would like a tutorial on, so even maybe something about logging on to the Chromebook, you can fill out this form. I'll be looking at the other end of this form, and then we can add the tutorial on there. So let me just get back one more time so that you have all those links. And that's about it for tonight. So I'll leave this up for just a few more moments so that you can copy down any of these URLs if you want to leave feedback, comments, questions.
And just for some reassurance, for the Flipgrid, you can record yourself and blur your face out or add a emoji to cover your face. But this is also a moderated Flipgrid, meaning the creator, which was myself, I've made it so that nobody else can see your video. So please don't worry about it going public or things like that. Only Jonathan and I will be able to see the videos to be able to hear your comments and feedback so that we can prepare future materials for you guys.
All right, I will awkwardly let this sit up here for another minute or so. And thanks for attending. We had a great turnout. Looks like over 200 people. That's fantastic.
And I'm being told that the Flipgrid password doesn't work, so I'm going to try this again.
Let's test just to make sure.
I'm wondering if it's capital Ed T. Hold on. Try Ed Tech with capital E, capital T.
Yes.
Oh, there it goes. Okay, so I'm so sorry. It's EdTech 2020 with a capital E for Ed and a capital T for Tech, and I've updated that in the chat as well. My apologies. And thank you for the lovely parent that communicated with me on Class Dojo. Great communication tool.
All right, try that again.
I'm going to repeat it over and over just because I feel bad now. So if you're wanting to leave comments or feedback, and hopefully not a mean comment for this EdTech 2020 part that I made a mistake on, but the password to get into this Flipgrid to record your response would be EdTech 2020, which with a capital E and a capital T for the Ed and the Tech. And again, this is a moderated response, so you won't be able to see each other's responses, and in order for anything to happen, I would have to approve it. So only Jonathan and I will be able to see these responses for future material preps.
All right. That should be good.
I hope so.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Again, this has been recorded, so we'll be able to place this on the website so that you'll also be able to access this later on. And we hope you have a great rest of your night. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for coming.